Hey, you out there in internet land. That's right. You stop your doom scrolling. I know that some stuff is really not going well right now, but come and stay with us just for a little bit. Let us wrap you in that warm blanket of Lucha Libre and have yourself a good time for a little bit. It is me, Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican, or El Segundo, and I'm here with Mikey. Say hi, Mikey.
Hello, Mikey.
And also, Papa, also, Will, say hi to people, Will.
Hello.
So nice. I love when we have the crew together. So nice. No, so nice. So yeah, we are Los Lobos de Lucha Libre, the Biconics CMLL team. So tonight we not only are going to be covering the January 24th Viernes Espectacular show from Arena Mexico, but we will also be covering the MLW show, which January 25th, because there was a lot of CMLL talent in that as well. So let's get right to it, shall we? It was your Viernes Espectacular show from January 24th, 2025 from the Arena Mexico. First little tidbit though is coming in February. We have the torneo that I haven't been able to do a full lookup, but I think this is where all the different lucha schools they're in vie for a trophy. Mikey, do you know any more about the torneo this?
I can definitely tell you a little bit because I was quite curious myself when I saw it. I was like, hold the phone. Let me go ahead and look this up. So the torneo, essentially, what ends up happening in this is that basically the best way that I could find, and I'm crediting Lucha Blog on the internet space, who has really good information when it comes to this stuff, especially for the American audience. So I'm excited because basically it's a treat for those following CMLL or the greater Mexican wrestling scene. It's basically a lucha dark paradise.
Nice.
And so basically what it is that it is, as you said, we're getting lots of wrestling schools. It's basically a giant showcase of the different talents in Mexico, as well as some of CMLL schools as well. So it's going to be great. I cannot wait.
Sweet.
So basically what it is it's like the MLB draft. So we get to showcase some folks, and who knows, we may or may not see them on CMLL television.
Nice. I'm excited. I love the CMLL tournaments. They're always a lot of fun. So
absolutely.
And of course, when we get more info, we will update you all as we get the info. But this does bring us to our first match tonight, which is a Reyes match with your Rudo team of Monstruo de Oro and Full Metal versus Angelito, and the newly unmasked who lost his mask at the Sin Salida match. Wow, at the beginning of the month, right?
Pretty much. Because the
Wow.
Sin Salida happened at the beginning of January, and we are at the very end.
Right. Wow. It seemed like almost a year ago. Goodness gracious. So this was with a one fall where the do end up with with the win. Your capitan for the technical team is the capitan for the Rudo team is Pero, but the technicals do get the win in this match. Also, let's start with you. What'd you think?
Well, as it always does, these CMLL starts us out with sort of the palate cleanser match, gets us ready, gets us in the mood, so to speak. And this did not fail that at all. So I thought it was pretty good. And again, I say it every time, the men's matches sometimes they're just really pretty to watch.
Yep.
Not because of the wrestlers themselves, but because that is an aspect of that pure joy. But it's like the choreography of it is sometimes just so fluid and it's so neat.
Yep, definitely. Mikey, what'd you think?
So I really enjoyed this match. Again, like I say all the time here, is that the opening match definitely puts on the energy for the whole entire rest of the night. This was a really, really fun one for sure. I think my favorite part of this, of course, is when we get the double pinfall submission thingamabob, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And of course, anytime anyone jumps through the ropes, I'm just like, don't be careful. Please don't hurt yourself.
Yep.
But man, I really, really enjoyed this match. It definitely set the tone. And yeah, it's been really interesting. I'm like, I forgot that he lost his mask at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
Crazy to
It,
me.
in the same aspect though, this kind of felt like Caligua's coming out match, because I felt like he was very showcased. And if I'm not sure if that was on purpose, seeing how he did lose his mask at the beginning of the month, this is the first time we see him without his mask. CMLL is kind of giving him a fresh new start on it. That's what it seemed like to me. Will, it's very funny that you use the word fluid, because that's exactly my wording. This match was very fluid, nonstop. It just like from, one interaction to another interaction to, one, flying spot to the next flying spot. Very fluid, very beautiful. But yep, your technical team does get the win in this match. This brings us to our next match, who we see some luchadores that we saw last weekend in this best 2 out of 3 pinfalls. On the Rudo team, we have Infarto, Hunter, and the Capitan Cranio. And then on the Técnico team, we have Fuego, Dragon de Fuego, and the Capitan.
So this match, it definitely gets bonus points for me, because anybody who knows me, I'm a sucker for good high flying action, especially when you do like in stereo moonsaults off of the ropes, which is what we saw in this match. So I really, really enjoyed this match. I think one of the aspects that I really loved about this match specifically too is that we do have some plus size individuals in this match. And I love that despite the size, they still went flying with everything that they had, with Volcano like catching in midair as I forgot who it was, but they came flying from him from the corner, and he just like bear hugged him and held him there, and then just sit down power bomb. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then of course watching, I believe it's how you pronounce it, but also him getting on the top turnbuckle and just flying like nobody's business. I love that these luchadors they go flying. But I really enjoyed this match because this was definitely a good showcase of athletic agility, as well as the balance between, luchadors who are more so like power wrestlers, but also can fly in your face if they need be.
I'm going to piggyback on that, because when we talk about like the larger size wrestlers in Lucha Libre, even in like the Amazona, the funny thing about it, when I watch these, like this match here, I don't even notice the size differences.
Yeah.
Like doing what everybody else in that ring was doing. I mean, there was no, oh, I can't do that because, I'm too big, or, this, that. No, they were like, and so I don't see that. Once they get into the action, it's like just all I'm watching is what's happening. I don't even notice that. But I'm gonna say it is amazing that like these big dudes coming out there and jumping off of top ropes. And and we see it over in like in American style wrestling as well. There are those folks that are just you're thinking, oh my God, he's gonna die before the match is over, and they're like some of the ones that are hanging on the most, and they're just like flying off, jumping out of the ring. I mean, they're doing all of it, and it's like go. And then it's the same way with the Amazonas too, because we got some built women over on that in the Amazon, and man, they are just thrashing people.
Yep.
And they're keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep. So I will just say, one of the things I love, especially when either Volcano or Cranio or both of them are wrestling, is when everyone else sells like how immovable they are. I feel like those are some of the best spots. And then like when Volcano and Cranio then end up like meeting each other, it's like the two immovable objects colliding. It's great. I love it. So yep. The Rudos get the win in this next match. We did get an announcement that on February 4th, we have the Torreyes Aire, which I'm really excited about. This is going to be a tournament for all the high flyers in CMLL. Your participants are going to be Dragon Rojo Jr., Capitan Suicida, Stuka Jr., Max Star, Mario, Futuro, Brillante Jr., Ángel de Oro, Brillante Jr., Neon, and of course, El Rey de Plata y Oro, Místico. I'm excited for February 4th.
Good lineup, honestly.
Yeah, I might have to ask that maybe we do an unofficial watch along for that, because that's just so fun. So that, and then I have notes. I can move slides. There we go. This brings us to our Amazonas match of the night, where we saw on the Rudas side a Dark Silueta and the Capitan. Hang on one second. Wait for it. There it is. Cheetah and the Capitan Lluvia y La. They do make up the team of Las Chicas. So this was a best 2 out of 3 falls. In the second fall, we had Isis and Dark Silueta getting pinned. India Sus and then in the third pinfall, we saw Doxa and Reina Isis, India Sus, and Lluvia. So the Rudos get the win in this match. Papa Oso, let's start with you.
Well, my girl is in this one. So Miss Persephone, anytime Miss Persephone is in the ring, she has my full attention.
Yep.
And she is vicious and she is unrelenting, and I love her, and you've like something going on there between the two of them, and I love it. Of course, I love all 6 of these women. I think you know my stance on the Amazonas. I think they are amazing, and I think at most times they're better than the men. And again, it's because their matches are so raw, so just knockout, drag out. They're less pretty than the men's.
Yeah.
It's, which I think is so funny, because we usually think of it being the opposite.
Yep.
That the women's matches would be all sort of choreographed and pretty, and it's not, man. These ladies are out for blood, and I absolutely love it. So anytime, and the funny thing is the worst Amazona match is still one of the best Amazona matches in my opinion. It
Right.
Can't get bad. I mean,
Yep.
Unless it just all went out there and just stood there and stared at each other, and I'd still be like, that was an amazing match. I mean, honestly, the women, these women are frightening. They scare me. They scare me, and I'm not afraid to admit that.
Mikey, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I find it really interesting in how we kind of paired up the Amazonas for this match, because at least to my knowledge, and I'm okay with being corrected, Lluvia, Jarochita, and India Sweet, they are more air-based, if you will, especially Lluvia and Jarochita, whereas on the other side, Persephone and Reina Isis are more power-based. And then you throw in the unorthodox style of Dark Silueta, who just kind of, in a safer way, pulls a Darby Allin and just throws herself at her opponents.
Right.
So we try not to compare here, but her style of wrestling reminds me so much of, again, Darby Allin. But if we're going to do women's example, she kind of wrestles a little bit like Jody Threat in TNA does, with that kind of brawler aesthetic, and just uses her actual body as a weapon when she is wrestling. And that was more evident when she just kind of jumped off the rope into the girls below, which was great.
Yeah.
There's something about, listen, I love Persephone as much as everybody else here, and I think she's fantastic. She's had a great year so far. I really enjoyed her in Japan when she was there. But there's something brewing between Persephone and Reina Isis. I was like, I need those two to fight. Like, give me a one-on-one match between these two. Because since we started covering CMLL, Persephone have been getting lots of opportunities. I mean, Persephone is a champion. Reina won the Amazonas Grand Prix. So I'm like, 2025, I'm going to keep my eye on these two, because I think we're going to get some good stuff between these two. And I thought, as far as the match goes, the Amazonas really do knock it out of the park every single time. And this was no exception. Great mix of high flying and, more brutality. This was a fun one.
Yep, definitely. Very interesting that Dark Silueta's tag partner was not around, but it was definitely still a great match. I did love that spot where each and every one of them took a chance to like dive on top of each other. That was a whole lot of fun. So, but yeah, the Rudas do get the win in this match, which brings us to our next match, where spooky, because we have El Galeon fan, which translated is the ghost ship, and captain and crewing this ghost ship, we have who's the Capitan Zandakan Jr., our one-piece renegade, and the one and only Pinto, who is, he just plays that zombie thing so well. Love it. At any rate, versus our technical team of Star Junior and the Capitan. And I have been missing Titan. I was very happy that he was back on my screen. This was another, I don't know, best 2 out of 3 matches. First fall goes to Star Junior, who pins Capitan Junior, and then we actually get a disqualification in this match. The technicals end up with the win. Yeah, it was very interesting. What ended up happening was Zandikan Jr. ripped Star Junior's mask right off in front of our El Güero Noriega, which caused the disqualification. Who did I start? You and Mikey. What is disqualification? Drama.
Say it ain't something. No.
Ghost ships. What?
Listen, when you pull out these pirate personas for your wrestling character, I'm expecting some debauchery and shenanigans to go on. And I'm so glad we were not disappointed with this. I was like, they're pirates. Of course they're going to hit below the belt, which makes a lot of sense from a character development wise. Literally, you have 2 pirates and a ghost ship. I will admit, though, anytime I hear them announce Barbosa, I'm just looking at it. I was like, when's the next Pirate of the Caribbean movie? Oh, wait, wrong one. Sorry. I was like, Johnny Depp, is that you? Nah, just kidding. But as far as the match goes, but for some reason in CMLL, and yes, I'm biased and I'm okay with that, DQ finishes are done in a way where it makes sense for not only the characters that are in the scene and completing the action, but it also kind of makes sense for the long-term story things we have, because within the last month or two, we've been seeing this development from our spooky spectral, pirates over here, and them being a little more vicious and antagonistic with their actions, especially when it comes to how they treat their opponents, regardless if they are rude or all that good stuff. And you know what? I'm here for all of this. As far as the match itself goes, I actually really love, and I'm not saying that this doesn't happen all the time, but to me, Barbosa, Zandikan Jr., and Defunto this felt like a true trio on trio match, if that makes any sense. Not only was everybody getting their spots in, because the biggest problem we have is when we have trios, it's usually mostly made up of individual wrestlers put together, so they have some connection, they do some things together, but both of these teams feel like actual units. These are people who know their teammates very well, and they capitalize on those movements and the playbook that each wrestler brings to the overall cohesive of a whole. And I really, really love that. And I want more trios matches like this, or 3-on-3s in CMLL, to continue that precedence, because CMLL probably has my favorite trios types of matches in any company right now, because these are actual trios fighting each other, not 3 singles wrestlers thrown together by a common goal.
Yep, definitely. Papa also.
I agree with all of that. But it's so funny because Star Jr. lost his mask was ripped off, but usually it's poor Esfinge always target him.
Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised that he didn't get targeted in this one. So I was like, oh, okay. But I'm going to touch on what Mikey said about the DQ stuff. Yeah, in like American style wrestling, when a DQ match happens, it kind of pisses me off, because I'm just like, give the guy a win, man. But here it's so different. And I think it's because of the culture of the style of wrestling. It's so different. It's so much more personal, So when the DQ happens, it's like, oh my gosh, you guys deserve that win. I was like, as opposed to, like what we were talking about earlier, Mike, you were talking about earlier about NXT, when it was like, oh man, no, he didn't deserve that win. He needed to win, man. But here it's literally the opposite. The mask gets torn off and you're immediately like, out, get out of here. Yep. Get out. Give the Technicos the win. And I love that. I so love that about this sort of style of wrestling. The culture is so different.
Well, to add on to what you were saying, Will, too, with all of this, if we look at the dichotomy between the two, sorry, I am getting very academic on here, so I apologize in advance. But when you look at the dichotomy between what we see in CMLL and in the Americas, usually DQ finishes in America, like we saw with NXT, are usually used and utilized to kind of propel whatever feud or story we're going. But the problem is that nobody walks out of those DQ finishes on equal footing. So to kind of just really quickly rehash this, the way that Wesley wins via DQ because Trick Williams decides to throw the ref and hit everybody with the chair. Trick ends up looking the strongest because he's out here destroying folks, but it comes at the expense of Wes and what he's been doing, trying to get to where he has. Compare this to what we saw here in this match. Yes, there was a disqualification in the third fall, but this is not the first time we've seen, our Spooky Galleon crew do this kind of stuff. So again, not only does it make sense in character choices, because comparing it to what happened in NXT, that came out of nowhere. It was really weirdly done, but it makes sense for Barbosa and Zandokin Jr. to do this stuff.
Absolutely.
And in a weird way, it makes even more sense, and it kind of adds the fuel to the fire, especially when you look at the group of Titan, Star Jr., and who can go back and forth. But I would say outside of Místico, these tend to be like the quote-unquote baby faces, if you will.
Yep.
The company beside Místico, because they can go back and forth, but we usually see them as, technicals. Yep. So what I'm hoping from all of this is I need a rematch. I need one-on-one matches between all these folks. And I'm hoping we build to something really fun, because I think there's potential here to tell a really good, fun, long-term story that doesn't need to be deep. Just give me high-flying action. And you know what? I'm here for the chaos.
Yeah, I agree.
Really, really quick to piggyback off y'all. Do you also feel that the refs in CMLL are treated more like an actual ref as opposed to, in their North American counterparts? You see the refs, if they see something, they say something. You know what I mean? And also, we've seen time and time again, Noriega, if someone gets in his face, he comes back at them.
He's one of my favorites.
Absolute favorite.
Yeah. So, do you think that also kind of factors into the whole selling of the DQ and making it actually enjoyable?
So I have a question before we get into this. So the referees at CMLL, or even any of the AAA and all those folks, are all of the referees do they have history in the business?
Most of them do, especially because, again, I can only speak from my personal experience. But when it comes to Lucha Libre, especially in Mexico, since it's such a very dynasty type of thing where you have lots of wrestlers and children following the paths, there's, how do I put this? There's referees in Mexico, or whether it be AAA, CMLL, or any other Lucha Libre promotion, are treated with an amount of reverence, because the basis of Lucha Libre in Mexico is built on power, family, and honor. Those are the trifecta of things. And at least in Mexico, the referees have a connection, whether they've had family members kind of do this, which is also very similar to Japanese referees too. Like me and, our other host, Adolfo, when we did the review for Wrestle Dynasty in Japan, one of the referees, his name is Red Shoes. His son is Shota Umino. So there's a familial bond right there. Japanese and, Lucha Libre, especially in Mexico, are built upon a dynasty type of thing, that they tend to either come from previous wrestlers or from previous referees as well. So some of these might be children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, or some might even be former wrestlers. So all to sum it up, yes.
I noticed that, in Lucha Libre, as in most Asian art forms, especially in Japan, in Japan it's more father to son, but in this one it seems like anybody in the family could really do it. But it's sort of
whether it be blood or
a found family, you're part of I've made you part of my family. So now I was also the reason I asked that, it was my whole basis of what I'm about to say is I think that then the referees in American style wrestling.
Well, I think that kind of go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it's because, and that's why I was asking, is are they part of the culture? you know.
So-
But here, like I'm going to use Noriega as an example because he's my favorite. But it's like I know him,
Right.
Like, referees, if I saw him on the street, I wouldn't even know who they were.
So I had a brain blast, right? So hear me out really quickly. I think the reason that we hold, at least the three of us, hold such a reverence for our CMLL refs is because they are treated as the I'm trying to look for the correct term. They're referees first and then characters second, if that makes any sense. Their actual duties are what are on display for us on CMLL. I feel, and this is just my assertion, so I can only speak for myself. I think the refs that we have, especially in companies like WWE, AEW, I can name a few, but that's because, to me, refs in general are always important in this sport. But I feel that the most memorable refs, like for example, in AEW, we have a crew of 3 refs that we usually see, but the one that I know the most is Miss Aubrey. Ref Aubrey is like amazing. She's fantastic. She's great. But why do I remember her so well? It's because she is a character. She's a caricature of herself in the role of a ref. In NXT, there's Jessica Carr, who is also the same thing. Love her to death. I know her because she ends up calling some of the main events, and she's really good at what she does. But again, it's because her personality, she's a character who has the secondary role of an actual ref. I feel that the refs here in CMLL have that role reversed. They are refs first, but then they're secondary characters to everybody else with all the actors in play in the actual ring itself. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but
That makes sense.
that's how I see it. I feel that they're refs first, then characters, where it's reversed here in the States.
All right. Cool.
Welcome to Talk.
Thank you, Mikey. And actually, Mikey, I believe that you are going to get your wish because at the end of this match, we do get Star Jr. challenging Zandakan Jr. for a mascot match.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit more about at the end, but just know that that has been put out into the universe. So, and now this brings us to another match that had a very interesting ending. This was our match for the night. It was a match, so two heel characters, Hechicero and Valiente. And we know that Hechicero and Valiente, we got beef, legit beef, years of beef going on here. So, to fit in this beef cannot fit into a 10-minute match because the match came out as a draw. In this, of course, they kept trying to fight at the end through it. Our favorite abuelo, speaking of referees, our favorite abuelo ref, Negra, Bestia Negra, comes out to try to break him up. El Valiente knocks down.
I was like, this is hate crime. This is an
That's a
ageist
hate
crime.
Yeah, seriously.
Ageism right
It's
there.
ageism.
I was afraid he broke a hip.
Somebody
Or
call
like
AARP.
fever or something. No, but yeah, this match comes out in a draw. Papa Oso, what'd you think?
I love. It's just it's. I didn't figure that it was going to come out to a draw, but I was kind of hoping it would because these two guys, man.
Yeah,
it's. I want this to keep going, so I don't want anyone to win anything. If that makes sense.
Yep. No, that makes,
that
makes perfect sense.
It's such a great hate. Really, I mean, it's like hate relationship. I mean, it is truly like you can feel it the minute they walk into the arena. You can just feel the seething they have for one another, and it's so great, and I love it. And so, I was just like, when these two guys were announced, I was like, oh, this is just going to be a smash fest. I mean, just they're going to try to annihilate one another, and that's what I just love. That's why I love Hechicero. I just think he's so just downright a nasty dude, and I love that. And El Valiente as well, but Hechicero just seems so much darker to me, than El Valiente. I mean, because he's he's a rudo, but he's a rudo you want to have a beer with.
Right? Yeah. Yep.
Rudo you want to bury a body with. I mean, that's the sort of difference.
He's going to teach you the dark arts of alchemy.
Yeah, and that's what I love about them. I'm just like, they're so different, yet they're the same. And that's why I think it's so how I think they clash so well is because it's, I love it. I was just like, this is so, I love this match. I just loved it. And you're right. Oh my God. When he came out to break it up, I was like, oh no, honey, oh no. I was like, oh no,
I'll be
no.
like, he needs some milk. Call an ambulance.
Like,
Oh man.
I mean,
Yeah, we saw him shuffling out, and I was like, "Oh, Bestia, what are you doing, buddy?"
No.
Go back.
How dare they do this to CMLL Grandpa? This
I
ages
know.
right. How dare
I
they?
half expected him to come out on a scooter. I was just like,
Oh,
oh,
Not the scooter.
you poor little old man. Like my grandfather going out there and getting smashed.
Ugh.
I'm just like, oh no.
You can't CMLL. You can't tell me that Olympico isn't back there. You can't send his
I know.
tall, beautiful ass and poor.
Mexico's
So
ass,
funny.
ladies and gentlemen. Like,
Or you could send Templario out, and I would have been like, oh, okay.
Fair. Yeah.
There you go. Break him up,
Yeah.
Templario. Let's see this
There we
muscle.
go.
Come on, let's
Mikey, what'd you think?
so as soon as I wiped off the drool from my desk after watching these two specimens come out, first and foremost, again, I have to agree with Will, where Echiseto is going to teach you about equivalent exchange, and hopefully you don't lose an arm and a leg in the process. For those of you who watch anime, you know what I'm talking about. Te is the bad guy who was just like, I'm not supposed to like you, but you're just so damn lovable. But not in this match, though. I want to preface by saying this. Both of these men went at it towards each other. But for me, it felt like Valiente was kind of going to Echiseto's level of just how aggressive and how kind of unorthodoxly violent he was being. There was a lot of cutters and more like sit-down moves with Echiseto. And what I actually love, and this is like a little nitpick that I have, but I actually like when my wrestlers show a little bit of intelligence, because Valiente was able to find himself out of positions to not allow Echiseto to get him in the submissions and other, maneuvers like that. He did his best to make sure that Echiseto did not pin him to the ground in order to work over a joint, a leg, an arm.
I feel that where 2024 was kind of like the story of it and Euphoria, I think 2025 is going to be the story of Echiseto and Valiente. But we're going to talk about that more when we talk about this upcoming week. So this does bring us to our main event, another best 2 out of 3 falls, where we see the Hermanos Chavez, Atlantis Jr., and Capitan Plata. So our first fall went to the Técnicos, where we saw Atlantis Jr., Angel de Oro, and Templario pinning Niebla Roja. The second fall went to the Rudos, where Barbaro Cavernario pinned Místico. And then the third fall went to the Técnicos, where we saw Místico submitting Mario with the Mística. It's the Mística. So the Técnicos get the win for this match. Mikey, what'd you think of this main event? He froze again. There he is.
There I am. I was like, I had to pause and think about what I was about to say. Look, I know that MLW Reloaded was already pre-taped, so this was not a live event. But damn, there's just something about and having like unmatched chemistry. Like, holy crap. Anytime these two lock up, I'm just like, if Místico ever needs to go take a vacation, like I'm kind of here for this mixture of what we have with Místico and Templario and Atlantis Jr., because they all fill different roles. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier about true trios, where they're able to match that synergy and do what needs to be done. And same thing with Mario and our, Hermanos Chavez over here too. Like, this was fantastic. This was a good back and forth. This was a fun main event. It's not necessarily my match of the night, but it definitely was close to it. I really enjoyed it, and these 6 always put on a good show. This was fantastic to watch.
All right, Papa also?
I loved the match. I did indeed. I thought it was good, and I love every single time when Atlantis Jr. comes out. I just love the fact that those are fish on his mask. Every time. I just think that is the funniest damn thing I've ever in my life. I laugh. I literally laugh. And not laughing at him. I just like, oh my God, I get it. Atlantis fish. Oh, I get it. But it just, I laugh and I laugh. But no, I agree. I think that like Místico and I agree with you, Mikey, totally. There is something there. It's like, and I don't think you see it all the time. That's the thing about it. Is that, sometimes you'll get these wrestlers who have like just this chemistry when they walk in the room together. You're just like, what is that? it's something. And I thought it was very prominent, as it always is whenever they tangle with each other. But no, I love this match. I thought it was a good main event. I really did. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I just to piggyback off of that, I love how with CMLL we have seen iterations of this match before, right? But each time we see it, something new happens and it's fresh. Yeah, we're gonna see Místico Polo Mística. Yeah, you're gonna see Barbaro Cavernario do the new stuff that happens, and they really, and good on Místico, who is able to showcase Templario and Star Junior. Also showcasing Barbaro Cavernario and the Hermanos Chavez. So yeah, I thought it was a great main event. Let's go to matches of the night. Mikey, what was your match of the night?
I'm not present. I heard.
There we go.
Here we go. So easily enough, my match of the night was the Pago match between Hechicero and Valiente. Again, the main event ended up being a close one for me, but I think there's some interesting storytelling going on in that Relampago match, and like years and years of beef with these two. It's out here trying to clean a very high greased up cooking pan that just has years and years of grease on it that just won't come out.
Yep.
Rather than get a new one, we're going to try to get everything as much as we can, and that's how I'm hoping that we get with Hechicero and Valiente's feud this year, because I'm here for all of it.
Papa also, what was your match of the night?
Nah, mine was the same one. Hechicero and Valiente. It just electrified the place. I think it's like watching a clash of titans, and it's just everyone just gets so excited by it. And it was just this sheer savagery of it. And I know that Mikey, you mentioned earlier about Valiente kind of stooping to Hechicero's level at points, but I think that's because it comes from knowing your partner. I think he had to, that's the thing. It's like, all right, I'm gonna have to do what I got to do to get what I got to get.
Yep.
And I think that's what he did. And it was, I just loved the match. It was literally, I was like, God, I wish I could just be sitting there and experiencing it. Because I bet you it's just electric. Oh God. Yeah, main event was a close second.
Okay. I actually gonna break from y'all. My match of the night was actually the Hunter Infarto Cranio versus. Whenever I get Volcano and Cranio on my screen, I just earmark that as my match of the night. So, all right. So, wrong screen. There we go. Okay. So this Friday, Arena Mexico. What do we got going on? So we got another really good card. So starting off the night, we have Ante Jr. y El Audaz versus Robin. Y after that, we have
Yes, my man is back. I've been missing Robin so much. I'm so excited that he's back.
Yep. The next match tonight is Stigma in Pegaso versus Felino Jr., El Coyote, y Okamura. Yep, that's right. Okamura's back in Mexico, baby. After that, we have Volcano, Dragon de Fuego versus Magia Blanca, Vegas, Luca Jr. After that, we have our Amazonas match, La Catalina, Scotty, and Kira versus Persephone, Zuxis in Dark Silhouette. Then, and this is the one that I wanted to talk about, we have Star Jr. versus Valiente and Zandakan Jr. Now we know that Star Jr. has challenged Zandakan Jr. for that Máscara contra Máscara match. This isn't it, but we also know and Valiente from last year have Máscara contra Máscara beef. So I feel that this match, there's going to be a lot of mask shenanigans going on with this match. So, and then finally, our main event, we're going to see the New Sky team, Místico, Máscara Dorada, y Neon versus Último Guerrero, Stuka Jr., and Gran Guerrero. So that is our card for this upcoming Friday. If you have the means, please check it out. They on YouTube on the CMLL channel for the Viernes Espectacular. There you do have to pay a fee. You do get some of the best wrestling I feel out there, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I think that for last week and this week, they're going to be having Viernes Espectacular for free on their Facebook Live. Don't quote me on that. I might have misheard, but I think that they're kind of doing that as a promo thing so that people can see, and then hopefully join up with the in the YouTube. So that is the Viernes Espectacular. We're gonna take a very, very, very quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the MLW Reloaded, because we did have a bunch of CMLL talent on MLW Reloaded. So please do not go anywhere. We will be right back.
Yeah, here we go.
Just enough time for me to get my water. Okay, so MLW Reloaded was on January 25th in Dallas, Texas. Apparently a cold Dallas, Texas, Papa, also?
Not really. Just probably wet more than cold.
Okay. This was on YouTube for free. You can actually go to the MLW YouTube site and you can watch the show for free. There was a lot of CMLL talent. So like our first match where we had Virus against as Cesar Duran, who is one of the managers in MLW, said he found this luchador from another galaxy. He was an asteroid. You've never seen him before. Guys, it's Neon from CMLL, guys. So we had Virus versus Neon as our in for the night, and it was a really good match. I mean, you had, and I know that the US fan base doesn't really know these two, but Virus, he's otherwise known as El Maestro to a lot, because he's a teacher to a lot of the rudos that have come up. So, and he works so well with anyone. And then Neon, he's part of the Mystico's new Sky team. We've seen him everywhere in CMLL. The match was a very high energy match. I gotta give him his flowers because he did some fantastic moves. Now he's like a short, squat guy, but he did this great flip into an arm drag. And then later on, he did this thing where he climbed the ring post and put Neon into an arm drag on the outside of it. It was great. Mikey, how did you enjoy this beginning match?
So I really enjoyed this match so much. I know Vitas is somebody we don't talk about too often, but I think he does really good work. And what I love even more is that Neon is now getting more opportunities here in the States, like with companies with MLW and the relationship they have with CMLL. And I mean, apparently they must love him because he's about to have another match at the Super Fight 8 tapings against one of my personal favorite members whom Will is very familiar with, because we are getting Neon versus Kushida, which makes me super excited. That match is going to be nuts. Mexican Lucha Libre versus strong style Japanese. So good. Cannot wait.
So then our next match of the night, we had Dark Panther versus Okamura. It's almost as if we're watching a Viernes Espectacular. It really is.
Seriously. Who thought?
I love him.
Right. One half of Cozy Max. He's so good. But we do get Okamura coming out with the win in this match as well. And Mikey, you got anything to add?
I love Okamura so much. I love Dark Panther too. Like, both of their styles go together so well, and it's just so good. Like, I have nothing else to add. Now I'm gonna wait because I have lots of feelings for the main event.
Okay.
In the best way possible. But
this was a really, really good showcase of CMLL talent. Next, we got a spot where Minoru Suzuki was confronted by, Minoru Suzuki and Contra unit. They, trying to sway them to become part of Contra. Then we had a trailer about Templario coming to MLW. So, brought us to our next match, which was Bobby Fish versus Ariel Dominguez. Ariel Dominguez, a new wrestler on the scene. It was good. It served its purpose. Bobby Fish pounded the crap out of Ariel Dominguez.
I'm just telling you, Bobby Fish looks hella great for his age. And it's that DDP yoga, man. DDP yoga saves lives out here.
Right? Then this brings us to our next match, where we had Persephone versus Alejandra Quint from El Salvador.
Excuse me, as Selena's biggest fan is Quintanilla. No, I was kidding. Anything for Salina.
I was really impressed with Alejandra.
Good.
Persephone won, right? But Alejandra, I believe this is her first televised match, and she pulled off some really great moves, and seemed very, dare I say, not senior, but like more knowledgeable, than you would think.
There's an intelligence behind the way that she wrestles but she was able to take it to a certain extent. But Persephone's veteran status and having more experience in the ring, she was able to find a way to still pull out the victory. But I'm gonna keep my eye on Miss Alejandra Quintanilla. I want to see her more, whether she goes to CMLL or she decides to continue to wrestle in MLW. Like I'm looking out for her. I want to see more of her.
Yeah, I believe him. I feel like MLW's kind of, they're trying to beef up their women's division.
Which
So
I'm here for.
yeah, so hopefully she becomes a staple with that. We got the Tom Lawler and Minoru Suzuki match, which was just a slap chop fest.
This is true striking at its finest. You have Murder Grandpa and Minoru Suzuki. Favorite cauliflower eared man.
Tom
Him and his
Lawler.
shorts.
Yeah, we did have a very interesting beginning to this match where Larange comes out and is trying to get Filthy Tom Lawler to sign the contract for Super Fight 6, and then he gets by Dijak, and then he gets snuck by Suzuki. It was interesting. It was
Tom
very,
Lawler
very
can't catch a
interesting.
break.
Yeah, the Sentai Death Squad started coming out, but then Kojima killed them all.
I love that Kojima's superpower now is just bread. Like,
Right. But Tom Lawler does end up winning the match. By the way, editor's note, these slides are out of order. So if you watch the show,
these are not in the correct order because I was about to say.
My bad. I thought I put them in here the right way. We'll see who's next. There we go. Oh, the championship match.
Listen, this is on my this is already in my top 10 matches of 2025. I will hold no discussion or debate. This is everything I wanted this match to be and then some.
Yeah, yep.
And we've been building this since what, like November, October? Yeah.
Yep.
This match was so flipping good.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed how the first fall and the second fall were relatively fast and had it split. You know, Mystical got the first fall, Barbario got the second fall, and then the third was
marathon it to that third fall.
It was a beautiful, just oh man. Barbaro was countering the stuff that Mystico was throwing at him. Mystico was, out muscling Barbaro. It was so good. It was really good. Really good main event. Mystico does retain his championship belt. So if you get a chance,
get a rematch.
Yeah, I feel well. This is actually the second time they've met for the belt. So
I want one more. Give me a rubber match.
Yeah. We should be getting a part 3. That was it. I forgot the slide. There was a Texas death match or Texas tornado match
between
there too.
Our favorite Paul Walterhausen and his tag team partner against the Andersons, which is great. I want to talk. So I'm excited because MLW is having another show next weekend for Super Fight 6. And there is a CMLL match that I am flipping out over because it's going to be so good. Because it's going to be Místico and Máscara Dorada in tag team action against Ezio.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I am so excited.
Those 4 know each other really well.
They're about to throw down in Atlanta, kids, in hot Atlanta. It's about to be on and popping. I'm so excited for Super Fight 6.
Yeah, that's going to be good. That's going to be really, really good. Yeah, and that brings us to the end of our show. Got an exciting week coming up in CMLL. I'm excited. I'm actually going to see if I can't watch some of the other shows, like the Guadalajara shows and whatnot. Yeah. Also, you got anything else for us?
Just watch it. Lucha Libre. It's amazing.
Okay. There we go. Mikey?
So, of course, I got to do the boss things. We still got a plentiful week happening. Tomorrow night to the GCW squad. We'll be here to review GCW Live in London, which is going to have the GCW team, which is Andrew and the Professor, mixing it up with your new Progress Wrestling host, which is me. So I get to bring the British wrestling into the mix because the show ended up being GCW versus Progress. And also, guys, Simon Miller is defending his championship like next week or during the Valentine's Day show. And I'm here for it. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be beautiful. Of course, then Will and I will be back on Friday because we have a TNA review because shit is going down. We have new champions. We're building. We have an actual month before the next pay-per-view, which is nice because I was expecting a 2-week build like we normally do with these kinds of events. And then, of course, while we aren't doing a live watch-along on Saturday, the Royal Rumble will be all the talk on Saturday, and then stay tuned Sunday morning where myself, the Professor, Minnie, our new acquisition, Kiltman, and Macho, the 5 of us will be reviewing the WWE Royal Rumble on Sunday. I am excited.
Wow. So many people for that WWE.
It's crazy.
All right. So that's going to be it. Thank you for joining us for Los Lobos de Lucha. If that blanket de lucha is warming you and bringing you some comfort, you keep it. Don't worry about it. We'll be back next week and we'll get you another one. So from Mikey, Papa Oso, and El, take care of yourself. Just remember, you're by.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.